We are going to walk through the rubric and the intention of the signature assignment for EDUU 628. Now, the assignment itself is called Assessment in Action. A great deal of this course has been about using all of our previous understanding of effective online and blended instruction, design, and assessment. We've truly put it into place. Now we're going to reflect upon it. That's what this paper is about. It's about meaningful, active reflection to demonstrate mastery of the key concepts that we truly need to own to be effective 21st century instructors. So the title of the assignment itself, again, is Assessment in Action. Here's the breakout. Students will craft a paper that will explain their reasoning behind the design of a unit of study that we've already built. We built together. Everything that this paper is asking you to demonstrate is something you've already built. So you can picture how this was put together. This was the necessary demonstration of mastery. This is your summative assessment that demonstrates attainment, mastery attainment of all that is crucial. But we couldn't just write a paper. First, we had to actually experience it. So please don't feel like, oh my goodness, I'm getting this paper put in me. How am I going to handle? You've done the work. Everything that the paper asks you to reflect upon, you have actively engaged in the process of creating. You should have already had all of the thinking and questioning and deconstructing. Everything this paper asks you to share is an experience you should have already had. So please go into this with a sense of confidence. You own this. Now this is your chance to show off in an academic fashion how amazing you really are. So here we go. And everything we did was indeed built upon the principles of universal design for learning, with a specific focus on the summative signature assessment of the unit, the key summative assessment for all that we did. The unit deconstructed and described in the paper will have been built inside an LMS, course sites, to serve a specific audience of learners, your class, in their mastery of attainment of a single standard or specific standard-based competency. Again, this is the work we did with the Understanding by Design template. This is why we spent so much time. It's not about turning you into a designer, but as you know, I'm sorry to be redundant, this is part of the work of being a masterful, effective, and empowering 21st century learner in a traditional classroom that's just starting to use technology, in a blended environment, and in a fully online one. This assignment will be a required element for the student's program virtual portfolio. Okay, now in our next class, in 629, we will complete the whole of the portfolio, but this paper will go into your portfolio, into that entry page for this course, for EDUU 628. That's where you need to embed it, but we'll get there. So this is due in week 8, and there's a specific due date on it. It's due the Saturday of week 8, so that before you go and present your findings and everything the following day, the very end of our term, your instructor has had a chance to walk through it, and if there's any big holes or big questions, you can get some feedback and guidance before you present it to your peers. And it is worth 120 points. All right. So, digging into the rubric. Now, this is very much like rubrics you've seen before throughout this program. And it should perhaps make a little more sense to you in the way it's built now that you've been asked to build your own rubric or meaningful criterion. Mastery, this is really where you need to focus. I don't care if you go and look at the rest. This is what I want you to attain. This is our goal. This is our drinking gourd. So here are our criterion. Based upon INACOL standard J, now I've broken it out. There's an A, a B, and a C. They're basically the same thing. The online teacher interacts in a professional, effective manner with colleagues to support student success. We built these artifacts, I believe it was week 4. We spent a lot of time thinking and discussing and threaded discussioning, the whole 9 yards. So now you're going to explain in your paper 2 specific examples, along with an explanation of each example of 2 separate artifacts inside your demo unit shell that illustrates a professional, effective communication to a colleague regarding a universal design for learning principle upon which the summative assessment in the course was designed. We built these artifacts. You have done this work. When you put your 2 letters for a colleague, for a future teacher of your course, into the Hidden Instructor folder, that was this right here. So what you need to do is now explain. This was artifact 1, this was artifact 2, this was my thinking behind it. Don't include the whole letter. You can quote a specific passage or 2, but the point is for you to now explain in your paper how each one of those letters illustrates your ability to communicate in a professional, effective fashion to another instructor the universal design principle. Remember, we wrote 2 letters that are in the unit connected to the summative assessment. There you go. Moving on. B, well, it's based upon the same basic criterion. The online teacher interacts in a professional, effective manner with. Now, parents, again, you've done this work. Now you need to reflect upon it and clearly and masterfully explain to us what you did. Maybe have a quote or 2. You could even put it in appendices if you want to, but you don't need it. How did the letter communicate to a parent? What kind of language did you use? It wouldn't be the same way you would speak to a colleague. A teacher would have a far greater understanding of terminology within pedagogy than a parent would. Yet, this would be your opportunity to really explain in layman's terms, in a way that would be meaningful to the parent, how universal design of learning, what you brought into the thinking behind building and presenting this summative assessment, this unit, to the student. And then we move on. C, basically the same thing, but this was broadening our horizons. This was reaching out to an expert or a specific organization, some way to connect our students and or our course design and ourselves to a community of practice, whether it's a community of practice of fellow instructors, a community of practice of experts in the field we're studying. Again, you've done this. This is your chance to reflect and show off how brilliantly you did this. Moving on. Now we go from standard J to standard K. And this is where we focused on media. And we did this a lot. Whether it's the PowerPoint with the audio, whether it's the selfie video that you made, or if you made a couple other videos with audio on top and captioning, whatever you did. When we say media-based, it could be a TED Talk. It's what's appropriate, and you've already built it, done it. You don't need to change anything you've already done. This is based upon what you have done. And you have these components. Now we're asking you to describe them. If, as you go through this, you have an epiphany and recognized that you really missed an opportunity or something you did just Now looking at it, it just isn't what you needed it to be. It isn't quite right. Please don't worry, because look at what's last as far as content. Final reflection, next steps. This should be the part of the paper that really asks the most of you, because the first criterion are all about what you've actually done. Now this is about how you close out the paper. Reflect on your experience. Share 3 most important recommendations for next steps in refining your summative assessment, as well as the whole of the design. So you've got a lot of room here. Yes, really do want to focus on the summative assessment, but the design of the learning that supports it to get there, that's equally viable, as long as there really is a connection. It prepares you. It empowers you. It gives you experiences that you will then need to use later. All right? This is what we're going for. So please, don't treat final reflection next steps as a throwaway. When you do your presentation, your live presentation in our final Adobe Connect meeting, this should be 40 to 50% of your presentation. It's not just about, yay, I did it. It's, I not only did it, but I learned by doing it, and here's how I'm going to make it even better going forward. Process, progress. Process, progress. This last part shouldn't shock you too much. Of course, formatting and professionalism. Graduate school, School of Education, basic APA formatting. There's nothing here that's shocking. Let's go over it. 7 to 9 pages. That's all in. That's title page and reference page. Double spaced. All quotes and citations are correct. 3 to 5 valid references supporting the work. All right, so don't go nuts. Don't go researching. You've already got this material, this understanding. You know where to go. Between our Coombs book in this class, between our Keith Pratt book in the previous class, between our first course, EDU 624, Vander Ark, the articles we've read, the PowerPoints we've shared, you already have these materials. Please, don't let this freak you out. Don't go do any more outside researching. There is a title page and a reference page. Okay, obviously I'm being a little redundant here. I want to make sure you get this. Now, word choice and sentence structure are professional, correct, and non-repetitive. Make it an interesting paper to read. Sometimes, and by now you guys have read enough, it can be as dry as sawdust. Someone literally uses the same structure over and over. Every single paragraph starts with, this work, blah, blah. This work, blah, blah. It's exhausting. It's painful for the reader. We've reached a point where it's important for us to recognize we're leaders. This is, as we talked about in 624, this is the Wild West. This is new territory. You all are becoming leaders in this arena. And part of being a leader is being able to effectively be an evangelist, share the message, help others not in the field understand what we're doing, and recognize the validity and the joy, if you will, that comes with all that we're doing and how powerful it is for our students as well as for ourselves. It's an academic paper, so let's not go crazy with the adjectives and the adverbs. We do need to use academic language, and we do need to speak like professionals. I shouldn't be seeing any exclamation points in your text, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be a painful read. There you go, guys. That's what it is. Now, I mentioned that this paper gets posted inside your portfolio. It's then the portfolio that you will submit to LiveText. Let's very quickly take a look at that. So you'll log in to LiveText, and you're going to be working in the same portfolio you started in the previous course. So where would that be? Inside Documents. My example that I've been playing with is Prof's example for you. Okay, so we've got our breakouts. Where does your paper go? Your paper goes on the intro page for EDUU 628. All right, so edit. The following paper is my signature assignment for the whole of this class. Maybe just a sentence or two reflection. Boom, there it is. How do you get the paper in? Edit. So I add my text. Okay, this is my signature assignment, blah, blah, blah. I want to add in my paper. My paper is done. This is how I'm going to submit it right here. Well, what's the best way to do that? I'm going to have to insert the file. Please do not try to copy and paste a 5 to 9 page paper, a 7 to 9 page paper. Please don't do it. You build the document, whether you turn it in as a doc or a PDF, that's your call. But you build it and then you're going to insert that file. Your instructor will get the file from here. How do I get it? Click Edit. All right, I'm going to have to upload the file in and of itself. We've already gone through all this. Browse, attach, blah, 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 save and finish. When I'm done, then I'll be able to stick it right in. All right, don't mess with the title, please. Now, there is one other thing you need to do. I mean, obviously, you're going to save that before you're done with this. Because this course, we focused on 2 very specific INACOL standards. So please, while it's still fresh in your mind, fill in, give an artifact, 1 or 2, no more than 2, please. Add an artifact or 2. Actually, you could do a pull from your paper for 1 or 2 for standard J, 1 or 2 for standard K. All right, a little reflection. Again, you can probably just pull this right out of your paper, but do complete 1 or 2 for standard J, 1 or 2 for standard K. Then when you're done, on the dashboard, you will have the button to submit. You will submit the portfolio. That is the signature assignment for this course. You've already done all the building, all the designing, all the experiencing. What you're doing to demonstrate mastery of all that you've done and the knowledge you've acquired is you're crafting a reflection paper. That reflection paper with a really delicious final thoughts, reflections, next step section at the end will then get loaded into your portfolio on the 628 page. Load it into this page. Do not copy and paste. Embed it, load it, attach it, put it in. Before you finish, you will add 1 or 2 artifacts with reflection for standard J and standard K. And then you will go back to your dashboard and you will submit your portfolio. And there you go. Take a deep sigh, pat yourself on the back. Bravo.